In this module, you will learn that what type of procedure you will have to follow in order to calculate the relationship between the two categorical variables. Now students, here by two categorical variables we mean that the ranks are being assigned to those particular variables instead of the original observations. So sometimes for the numeric or for the non-numeric observations under the two categorical variables, we can calculate the relationship between the two categorical variables using the Spearman's rank correlation. Now, instead of Pearson product moment correlation, why we use Spearman's rank correlation? Reason that we might not be knowing the parent population of the two variables of interest, or we might be given with the rank data. So if the ranks are being given, we may not calculate the relationship between the two variables using the Pearson correlation. So then the choice would be to calculate the relationship using the Spearman's rank correlation. So students, the hypothesis, all possible hypotheses that you can consider under the Spearman's rank correlation is H0 would always be that the two variables x and y are independent of each other, whether it is a two-sided test or it is a one-sided test. Whereas for a two-sided test, the alternative hypothesis would be that x and y are either directly or inversely related. Whereas under the one-sided test, we have two cases. In case B, we would have the alternative that there is a direct relationship between x and y. Whereas under C, which is the other possibility for the one-tail test, the alternative hypothesis can be that there is an inverse relationship between x and y. By inverse relationship, we mean that both of the variables, they are moving into the opposite direction. Then the step 2 would be to consider level of significance. Under step 3, you would have to consider the test statistic, which in our case is RS. It can be 1 minus 6 summation di square, where di is the difference between the rank sum of the two observations. D is Rxi minus ranks of yi, divided by n into n square minus 1, where n is the total number of pairs you have had. Step number 4 is the calculation that you will be making against this test statistic. Step number 5, for two-tailed test and one-tailed test, it would be different. For two-tailed test hypothesis of type A, we need to reject our null hypothesis at alpha if the calculated value of RS is greater than the tabulated value of n and alpha 2 or Spearman's rank correlation coefficient table. So students, Spearman's rank correlation table would be given in form of one-tailed test as well as in form of two-tailed test. Title में top पे या तो आपको alpha 2 दिया होगा, that means two-tailed test, या आपको top पे two-tailed test would be writing in form of the text. Whereas for one-sided hypothesis of type B, we have to reject H0 at alpha level if the calculated value of RS is greater than a tabulated value for n and alpha would be taken as alpha 1. That means a one-tailed test. Whereas for a one-sided hypothesis of type C, you are required to reject H0 at a alpha level if calculated value of RS would be less than the tabulated value of n and alpha 1, where alpha 1 stands for the one-sided test. I am taking a problem that was a study being taken by Pincharle and Robinson in 1974. They note a marked inter-observer variation in blood pressure readings. So they found that doctors who read high on systolic tend to read high on the diastolic as well. So we were required to test whether there is a direct relationship between systolic and diastolic readings at 5% level of significance. Now students, here you can see that we are asked to test the direct relationship. That means we are talking about a one-tailed test. So we are not going to take on the two-tailed test under the pair of hypothesis. So our H0 would be that the two variables are independent, whereas our H1 would be that there is a direct relationship relationship between the two variables x and y. So students, let us take on this problem. The systolic blood pressure readings are being given to us. इसको सबसे पहले आप rank करेंगे from smallest to the largest. As you can see that the minimum ranking under the systolic blood pressure was 130.8. We have ranked it as 1. Then the next reading was 131.7. We have ranked it as 2. And finally, we have ranked the maximum reading under systolic blood pressure as 143.9. And we have ranked it as 14. इसी तरह से स्टूडेंट्स डायस्टोलिक ब्लड प्रेशर जिसको आपने Y का नाम दिया है, इसके आप रैंक्स कैलकुलेट करेंगे. अब यहाँ पे मिनिमम रैंकिंग जो पॉसिबल थी डायस्टोलिक ब्लड प्रेशर की रीडिंग के अकॉर्डिंगली इट वाज 74.4. इसको आपने रैंक असाइन किया 1. देन द नेक्स्ट रीडिंग अंडर डायस्टोलिक ब्लड प्रेशर वाज 77.8. उसको रैंक दिया आपने 2 एंड सो ऑन. द मैक्सिमम रैंक वाज असाइंड टू द 89.7 एज डायस्टोलिक ब्लड प्रेशर रीडिंग और इसको आपने रैंक असाइन किया 14. वंस यू आर डन विद द असाइनमेंट ऑफ द रैंक स्टूडेंट्स, आपने रैंक्स को लेके इनके डिफरेंसेस कैलकुलेट करने हैं. देखिए 12 माइनस 14 फॉर द फर्स्ट जो आपके पास पेयर ऑफ ऑब्जर्वेशन थी अंडर एक्स आई वाई आई, 12 एंड 14 रैंक दिए थे आपने इनको. 12 माइनस 14 गिव्स यू -2. देन फॉर द नेक्स्ट रैंक्स 8.5 minus 1 that gives you a positive difference as 7.5. Then 3 minus 4 it gives you a negative difference. Once you are done with calculation of all possible differences for the 14 pair of observations, the next thing you need to calculate is DI square. Students, DI square का आपको column चाहिए. क्यों चाहिए? क्योंकि इसका sum is desired to calculate the Spearman's rank correlation. तो -2 का स्केयर जब आप लेंगे, obviously it would give you a positive value of 4. 7.5 का स्केयर लेंगे 56.25. And finally, you will be calculating -3 square that will give you a value of 9. Once you are done with the scaring of the DI column of the differences, you would have to sum it up. So summing over this column, you got 132.5. Now we are going to make use of this summation DI square for under the Spearman's rank correlation formulae. As you know that n was 14. So 1 minus 6 summation DI square was 132.5 divided by n was 14 into n square minus 1. So upon calculation, we got RS as 0.709. This is our calculated Spearman's rank correlation value. As you remember that under alternative hypothesis, we have taken that there is a direct relationship between the two variables. So students, it was a one-tail test. So Spearman's rank correlation की table में से you would be considering the one-tail test. Level of significance as our alpha value was 0.05 and n was 14. So I've shared a portion of Spearman's rank correlation which is appearing before you students. अब अगर आप 14 value में से for probability of 0.05 students अगर आप value observe करें, it is 0.464. So for n14 and alpha 1 stands for one-tail test, 0.05 critical value of RS is 0.464. आपकी calculated value student that was 0.709. As you can see that it is greater than 0.464 because under the critical region we have observed that if our calculated value of RS it would be greater than our critical value of R, then we would be rejecting our null hypothesis. So as we know that 0.709 is greater than our tabulated value of Spearman's rank correlation under one-tail test, so we would be rejecting our null hypothesis H0 and we can say that there is a direct relationship between systolic and diastolic blood pressure readings that were being made by the doctors.